What's up? Welcome back to my channel, or for the first time if you're new, I'm Sylvan, and today I'm going to be reacting to Ukinami Yuzuha's character demo. Tanukinception? Tanukinception? Something like that? Wild title. I'm very excited to get into this. I so far have enjoyed the little bit I've seen of Yuzuha, but I'm eager to find out more before I decide if I'm going to pull for her or that kind of thing. So feel free to like and subscribe if you enjoy the video, leave a comment on your thoughts. Consider becoming a channel member if you want to support me just that little bit extra, and let's get into this. What do you have for us, Yuzuha?
3 years ago, a murder happened in this apartment
Okay,
building.
a spooky apartment.
Killer was sent.
Alice is here.
But strange things have kept happening here. Rumor
Very
has
Hu
it
Tao vibes right now.
vengeful spirit lives on. Hunting the doll left at the crime scene.
Oh my god. I love the colors they had there.
Facts waiting to be revealed. Isn't that what you always claim?
I feel like the voices are a little low in the mixing. God, I'm loving the animation on the Tanuki.
Don't tell me. You mean these guys? Really? This again?
Okay, an ambush was waiting for him. Ooh. Ooh, okay. Vibing with the music. Whoa. That's an interesting effect they did there. Huh. I haven't seen that intentionally done much. God, this is so just goofy.
You know what you're missing? A porcelain amulet. Wanna get one? Thanks for your business. Be extra careful the next time you're out at night.
Just took his money. Okay. All right, this is a very straightforward and simple trailer. Much simpler than a lot of the character demos, I feel like, from Zenless, but still very good, very good. It opens with Yuzuha describing how someone was murdered in this apartment that her and Alice are gonna go to. Very much lines up with what we know of the Spook Shack as a group and Yuzuha as a person, wanting to go to these haunted locations, that kind of thing. During this portion of things, there's some really fun lighting going on. It's much more dramatic. It's colored. You have the one side of lighting that is more this pinkish red, and then you have the very stark sort of neon light blue that is highlighting. Gives a certain vibe to things that is not quite real feeling. And as the background is beginning to glitch, showing off the unreality of what's going on as well, sort of the supernatural, creepy aspect of it, Yuzuha is leaning into this scare factor as she describes what happened. The killer was sentenced, but strange things have kept happening here. It's a haunted apartment, so they're going to check it out. We already knew, based on our first sort of impressions of the characters, that Yuzuha is the one who's really into this kind of stuff, where Alice is the more scared one, who comes along nonetheless for whatever reason. But we see here that Yuzuha is really playing up the scare factor, seemingly just sort of to mess with Alice. And then as we fully leave reality and just embody the creepiness of what's going on, but in a very goofy way, we have her Tanuki, I think the name of it was like Kama or something. We have them representing the vengeful spirit of the victims as it's being described. Just this big, scary, imposing figure with this glowing blue energy around them and glowing eyes. But then we just get pulled out of everything with this one jump scare towards Alice. It's not at all a jump scare towards us. It's literally just meant for Alice. And it's revealed that what is actually going on is literally just Yuzuha holding up her Tanuki in front of Alice. But then as she continues moving on, disregarding how much she spooked Alice, she puts on a bit of a voice and I imagine is here teasing Alice with probably something she said before. Based on this line being "there's no such thing as ghosts, only facts waiting to be revealed," it seems that perhaps Alice may be on the side of this spectrum who doesn't believe in ghosts and is determined to prove that to be the case and that kind of stuff, but is also just very easy to scare. That's sort of how I interpret things here, given that this is in quotations. Yuzuha is putting on a bit of a voice. She's teasing Alice for getting scared despite her previously saying, hey, there's no such thing as ghosts. We just don't know what's going on. And that's backed up by this next line being, isn't that what you always claim? It's just teasing Alice about being freaked out by something that in Yuzuha's mind she shouldn't have any reason to be afraid of because Alice doesn't think ghosts are real. At which point Alice retorts what Yuzuha is saying, but in a very fearful manner as she huddles up near Yuzuha, grabbing onto her arm and nervously saying, "Yeah, but I feel like something really is following us nearby. Even if I don't believe in ghosts, it feels like we're being followed, we're being watched." And this is followed up by shots like this, where we take on the perspective of a hypothetical watcher hiding, following them. But then ever fearless, Yuzuha just says, "Oh, don't tell me, you mean these guys?" as she, through a thin wall, guns down one of these random, I guess, hollow raiders, or at the very least that's what they design-wise are matching up to. They might just be random thugs. But it shows that Yuzuha is fearless, she's fast acting, and whether it's ghosts or thugs, she is not afraid. At which point, there's sort of this moment of standoff. The thugs have been caught, so they are freezing up, trying to figure out what to do, as I think it's Yuzuha says, "Really? This again?" Which is an interesting line for her to say. It implies that she has a history of running into thugs and criminals and stuff when going to haunted places like this. Is it just a coincidence that a lot of haunted places are where criminals will be hiding out? Or is there something about her and her past that ties her to getting in trouble with criminals? Who's to say? Either way, it shows she has experience dealing with people like this. But then after a moment of pause, one of the guys behind her jumps off of where they were standing to overhead swing at Yuzuha, only to be countered and sent flying by Alice's rapier that she seemingly threw at him, showing that once Alice knows the threat she's facing, she can step into combat mode and just be calm and ready and capable. Interestingly enough, we don't see Alice catching her weapon again, but she was off screen long enough that we can assume either she has multiple of her weapon or it rebounded back to her. Another very cute thing, this little screen on Alice, I know this is Yuzuha's trailer, but Alice is very much a part of this. Alice's little screen here previously was, I believe, more of a neutral expression. It's been a neutral expression throughout this, but we see here actually it swap suddenly to this red angry mode. I'm not entirely sure what it is, what it's supposed to be, but it's just a cute little detail that I like. Probably we'll find out more about it when we learn more about Alice. But after that, there's this brief sort of glance between the two of them before Alice dives off screen to deal with the guys to the one side, and we don't follow her, instead focusing on Yuzuha. And we then enter the fight. She just fluidly and effortlessly is floating around, fighting essentially hand-to-hand, but using her umbrella for momentum purposes more than anything. And then after this sudden burst of action, there's this low moment where we follow sort of the big main guy of the thugs beginning to get up before the Tanuki just lands on his head and sort of stomps on him a little bit goofily, showing that both the Tanuki and Yuzuha are really not taking this seriously. They're just having fun with this. But then as he goes to try to grab the Tanuki off of his head, it puts its hands together and disappears into a puff of smoke and some leaves before he can grab it. At which point we have them looking to her and the Tanuki is nowhere to be seen, but as she whips around her umbrella, we cut to showing that the Tanuki is just up above in the air, twisting around, as they then throw down just like whatever needles, knives, whatever they're throwing down at the enemies. It's part of her kit, but it shows it off very well as Yuzuha just hides behind her umbrella and laughs at these people. This is them having fun. They are not worried, they are not annoyed, they are having a good time messing with people. That is Yuzuha. And then as she gracefully lands, her umbrella open, we have Alice lunging into frame from this side of the building, evidently having been dealing with some of the thugs that were on the main road, or at least this part of the road, while Yuzuha was dealing with the ones in the alley. And as Alice puts her weapon away and comes to join Yuzuha, Yuzuha continues to mess with these guys. She begins to give them a pitch for something to buy. We know she's connected to the one like novelty goods, porcelain goods store or whatever it is, and this is tying in here as she says, "You know what you're missing?" to these guys she just beat the shit out of. A porcelain amulet. Want to get one? And we see that the Tanuki is entirely in the same thought process as her, holding up a sign that very funnily seems to have a fairly cheap price that then is crossed out as if it's on sale, only for it instead to be massively hiked up in price. Interestingly enough, at this point, Alice is here just casually watching this unfold. She's not involving herself in it, but she isn't stopping it. Evidently, she's used to this kind of thing. At which point, she just grabs their wallet Alice holding them back, restraining them, and just takes all of the money out of the wallet as she says, "Thanks for your business. Be extra careful the next time you're out at night," essentially just robbing these people who attacked her. It's a real wild way for the interaction to end, but it absolutely shows the kind of person Yuzuha is, her attitude, her personality, her relationship with Alice to a degree. And as she says that last line, her and Alice just leave them tied up against a dumpster, basically, having tossed the empty wallet into the main guy's face. But that's where they end it. Like I said, it's very simple, very straightforward. Not a lot of crazy stuff to it, but nonetheless very fun and very informative of her character. But with that, I feel like I've covered everything fairly well, so feel free to like and subscribe if you enjoyed the video, leave a comment on your thoughts, and very special thanks to all of my channel members, being Desaize and Pokelove at the normal tier, and Kondo Nano at the cool person tier. Really appreciate your continued support as always, and I hope you all have a great day. Bye-bye!